we're just going to do a little piece on fenugreek seed tea. I've got to say, I keep forgetting, but if you're watching this on YouTube, if you can subscribe to the channel, like the video, or comment, even things like I get about the music being too loud or annoying or whatever, yeah, it helps the channel grow. So, but what I wanted to talk to you about was fenugreek seed tea, basically a little bit of an insight into that idea of domestic Ayurveda, which is essentially what I talk about in my classes and on the channel. And I have to say, yesterday I came down with just like a hideous bout of hay fever. It's really warm and very dusty, and there's a lot of pollen about at the moment. And filming today, the last thing I want to take is antihistamine because it kind of messes with my head a little bit, and also, like, you know, ramps you up. Last thing you need is a hyperactive me. But what I'm using actually to kind of settle is fenugreek seed tea. So if you can come in and have a look. It's actually just fenugreek seed and hot water. So this is fenugreek seed. Maybe I'll show you Trev here so you can see. So it's the seed of the fenugreek plant, and fenugreek is like a spinach. And it's quite hard. Like if you were to eat that, you'd have to be careful you didn't sort of, you know, break your teeth. But once you apply water, it's like any sort of, it's almost like a mung bean. It will actually, you know, they soften like they're going to sprout. So I just use like a teaspoon or like a little spoon, and then a little hot water. Here's something I prepared earlier. Now have a look at the difference between freshly poured and already steeped. So this one here is freshly poured, and you can see it's like the colour of the water is still quite pale and it still looks quite hard. So this one's steeped for just enough time that like it's cool enough to drink essentially. So it's just a couple of minutes for the boiled water to cool down. Now, fenugreek seed tea, or fenugreek seed, is a bitter category spice, and bitter category spices are for stabilisation of the system. Essentially, they help to support the deep gut, and in domestic Ayurvedic practice, the deep gut is seen as being the sum of us, so the origin of all the things. So not just health, but actually it's the cradle of who we are. And it's like down in the pelvis, kind of, if you imagined like, you know, that kind of cauldron shape sitting kind of at the base of your like perineum, and then sort of coming up as a support system, or up through around your hips and through your pelvis, and up to sort of your gut space. And what this stabilisation does is that it doesn't like cure hay fever. It's not going to stop my nose running necessarily. It's not going to stop the reaction. But it has this inherently, firstly, hydrating and deeply soothing effect. And if you think about, in terms of the way that I kind of teach this, you know, ways to kind of bring this understanding into your own life, is it's very direct sensory logic. So I know when I get hay fever, I feel very dry, very dusty, and very light. There's a sense to the body of sort of windiness and that dryness that comes from like these hot, dry gusts. Consuming something like fenugreek seed tea, firstly, it's very hydrating and cooling. That fenugreek seed is like deeply stabilizing, and it's almost like, or not almost, it is like that I get drawn back into myself, and it has the sensory body effect of a cold shower or a swim in like a beautiful freshwater lake, and just that way that water has of the weight and the freshness of washing off that feeling of windiness, of dryness, of irritation. There are myriad ways you can use spice in this kind of, or masala, in this kind of, to have this kind of impact, which is just really subtle. It's very gentle. It's medicinal in terms of, I guess, a sort of an organic sense of wellness, or a gentle sense of wellness, that doesn't eradicate a state necessarily, but helps us to move through it with a little more sympathy, and it becomes a little easier. So yeah, I'm still stopping to blow my nose every now and again, and you can probably hear it in my voice, but just drinking this throughout the day, it's incredibly settling, and it's something I do at the end of a long day at work as well. It's like it tends to have a soothing effect on the nervous system. So fenugreek seed tea, essentially free, hot water, a little bit of fenugreek seed, and just a really beautiful way to soothe your system. Cheers. Thanks. Come again.